Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Tuesday, September 2nd, I almost said 11, but guess what? It's 2014. And welcome to Day 9 Daily number 726, where we learn to be a better gamer. Been playing a Hearthstone like crazy, a little Nox Ramus, and today we were intending on doing some Starbow. However, Flash just won a major international tournament, IEM Toronto, 2 days ago. So we're going to do that. Boom! Thursday we'll be doing Starbow. Tomorrow we'll be doing Hearthstone. Friday I'll be playing a little bit of Dishonored. Mostly Walking will be back on Monday. Tuesday following that will also be a Starbow show. And guess what? I go to Seattle on Wednesday and won't be doing shows for Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday of that week. But then it's okay, I'm back for 2 days, and then on Wednesday I go to Battlegrounds DC, so I won't be doing shows for the Wednesday and Thursday, Friday that week. But there'll be a lot of content with my face on it. To hell with that, though, because let me tell you what's going to happen today after I drink this delicious ice water. In today's show, we're going to take a look at how Flash was able to successfully thwart Mr. Zest in a best-of-7, doing two counterintuitively existing things at the same time. Flash is extremely, I almost want to call it stubborn, we'll be positive and say persistent, with using the same core builds again and again and again. Very hard for many people to do because you want to do that element of surprise. You don't want to be predictable, right? Flash does this very, very well. And he also knows how to adapt when needed. And these two things are very hard to do in unison well. Most people are very good at being persistent or very good at being adaptable. The problem is, if you're overly persistent and you stick to one build, then you're stubborn, you don't break out of your shell, and you don't figure out ways to win games by doing cool tricks because you're so stubborn you want to stick with your own thing. If you're too adaptable and you change all the time, it can be very hard to learn anything because you are essentially playing randomly to a certain extent. We're going to see Flash. He almost orders his game. We're actually just going to go game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like in order. We're going to see the delightful brilliance of doing sameness over and over again, and the way that Flash adapts is very tiny. Very, very tiny. So we're going to be doing a whole lots of let us appreciate that which is normal in this first game. But this will set the stage for the first three. In games 1, 2, and 3, it's an almost identical build order opening. So we're going to see things like the usual worker pairings going on. Let me just make sure the coloring is set properly. Cool. It is blue when I go to the flash cam. So here we are on our 3-player big old map that is really most notable for the octopus in the middle. So on these bigger maps, really any map where it's a little tricky to scout your opponent quickly right off the bat, but in particular a map that has these nice, juicy, easy to defend ramps, I like a command center first. Now, one thing that we're going to see out of Flash, like, constantly, is just how bold he is with making every little move. So, for instance, this command center is on the low ground. Very often it's easy to go command center on high ground. Barracks, barracks. Flash is going to be doing this a lot. We're going to see this idea of being a little bold in many, many ways throughout this. So there's a 14 barracks to follow subsequently. Now this is a little different than what is commonly timed, which is to throw down this command center and then to just keep building SCVs and build the depot when you can. But notice how we kind of 14 CC'd, 14 barracks, and then go back to the SCV production. This is an example of the persistence. Why the hell is it an example of the persistence? Flash has spent such an incredibly long time precisely timing out these builds and adjusting for all these little edges that he's able to discover these neat, cool timings. So let me just note, this is, actually let me go forward 2 seconds. So notice that this barracks is at 40 of 65. Notice that this barracks is at 11 of 65. So the gap between them is such that it's going to be slightly easier for Flash to sync up his Marine production. And I know that that sounds very, very little and minute, but we're not just going to see it once, we're going to see it many, many times. A Marine takes 25 StarCraft 2 seconds, which for some reason is different than a real-life second. But again, notice that this barracks has about 25 seconds left on it. And this Marine is going to take 25 seconds to build, so when this finishes, boom, we'll be building him at the same time. So now we're starting to see, oh, by going 14 barracks, and then building 2 SCVs, and then going 16 barracks afterwards, we get these little line uppages. The important takeaway message is not, it is not 14 barracks, 16 barracks is the way to go. The important takeaway is that Flash is extremely persistent about making his own life easy and giving himself these nice little benefits. We will see it again when he puts add-ons to his barracks. Things just line up very, very elegantly in this. What is the only way you would discover this? If you did roughly the same damn build again and again and again and again and had that sensitivity where you went, man, when I go 15 barracks, 16 barracks, shit, my guys just don't line up, and that sucks. So right when this barracks is done, boom, SCV builds the bunker. Here's another example of the boldness. This bunker, let me actually scoot back a little bit, just so you don't get the wrong idea. We have one SCV building a barracks. We have 2 SCVs building a barracks. Very often, this SCV is told to build this bunker. Or this SCV is told to build this bunker. Let's watch Mr. Flash. Do-do-do-do-do. Yeah. An SCV was actually rallied down, unique from all the other ones, just to be able to get this barracks down as quickly, or excuse me, get this bunker down as quickly as possible. So you heard me talk about boldness. Command center on the low ground. It's not just purely a ballsy move. This barracks extremely quickly was built after it. SCVs were cut to get this barracks down. And the second, look at this, it even says 0.01 seconds on this. Within 0.01 seconds, the bunker's going down. And where is it built? Very far forward on the ramp. I think it's extremely easy to want to build a bunker here, or to want to build a bunker a little bit held back. Flash is pushing that very far forward. The SCV that finishes the command center is the one that moves out to do its thing. And now look at this Marine production that is oh so elegantly, very nearly synced. Very nearly synced. I mean, it's off by just a few seconds because Flash just got a little distracted when this barracks was done. But look at that elegant sync uppage. And just building his barracks. I'm not going to go into too much detail on these placements and whatnot, but I do want to go to the flash cam to begin to look. So cool, we see little adjustments, rallying the Marines into the main. Why? Well, it's really damn annoying to have that pesky... actually, I do have to follow this SCV. It's pretty annoying to have that pesky Oracle sweep in and deal damage, or even the Mothership Core. So we're talking about this build in a little more detail in Game 1, because it's kind of like a baseline build. It's the thing that's going to convince us that this is a smart build, and one that would make sense to do a whole lot of times in a row anyways. When that scouting SCV dies, Flash does this thing almost every single time, where he just quickly barrels an SCV to the other side of the map. Now let's take a look over in Camp Flash, getting to refineries as he can afford it. We're starting to see these very careful and meticulously placed rally points to make sure that he has enough in the main to deal with an Oracle, and now enough at the front to deal with any sort of attack. Mr. SCV is continuing to poke his way on over to this side, so we'll keep an eye on him as well as we look back into the main base. So, from the... If you're looking at this game as a commoner, what's very easy to do is to look at this and go, well, yeah, this is just the standard 3 barracks stuff. I mean, this is standard. It's, you know, standard. And this it bums me, it hurts me. It hurts my soul because, like, if you are looking at this and you're going, oh yeah, it's standard play, and then not thinking, probably 90% of Terran vs. Protoss games are just going to label as, oh yeah, standard. You're going to miss out on the juicy learnings, like the little learnings of how instantly that bunker went down, how the SCVs were delayed in order to get that first bunker started at 14 and the second started at 16, so then they synced up. Ooh, really nice little timings in there. Another little thing, Flash is still making only Marines. Now, most players, I think, are probably comfortable with this idea, but I'll still say it anyways. You can build Marauders, but save your money and save your gas. Just keep building Marines and make sure you don't interrupt any of your other important things. So as it gets close to 7 minutes, Flash does a really smart thing. He darts in with an SCV to do what? Obviously, if there's an all-in that's getting ready to go, Flash is going to walk in here and see nothing. But instead, he gets in and he sees these geysers going down, which give him a relatively good sense that his enemy is doing something a little bit more long-term focused. So we have some more very typical timings. Factory going down at the same time as an engineering bay, at the same time as a third refinery. All good. We once again see how close to synced all the barracks are. If you have never made a conscious effort to sync your production structures as Terran, do yourself a favor and just make yourself sync it up. You will have much less money wasted in a queue, and you will have to remember to macro less frequently, because you're just going, oh, I just heard a Marine come out. Let me just hit 5 AAA, or in this case, 4 AAA. Or if you're playing Brood War, MMM. Hey, look at that, beautifully synced. Instantly building this starport. Now, up to this point in the game, this is relatively typical. I don't think there's anything too extraordinary happening right now. We see again these, we're going to see something really cool. Tech Lab takes 25 seconds. Marine takes 25 seconds because the Tech Lab was queued up at the same time as this Marine. Both of the barracks are going to be Tech Lab and available to build Marauders at the same time. Again, those little things. If you do an early expand, generally around 8:15, you have enough to do something like build a command center. Some players like to build double, an extra 2 barracks. And usual stuff, getting stim. Look at these 2 Marauders beautifully synced up. Look at this. Marine and Marauder production. Perfectly synced up. So sexy. Now here's one of these moments where you gotta give some credence, you gotta give some respect. Here's Flash moving out early. He has not really scouted very much. He sees very early gas. He's moving out early. Why? This early scout crossed off a big section of potential strategies. It crossed off early aggression or early big attacks, because those are 2 very fast geysers. If you get 2 very fast geysers at your expansion and you're mining from both of them, it's really hard to have enough money to do any good all in. So cool, you just cross them off. You mentally cross them off the list, and this allows Flash to move out. If Flash couldn't get a scout, or went in here and spotted no gas or something like that, this would be a little bit less reasonable. But now Flash is getting eager to move forward. He has stim. He has a Marine advancing forward. He has his medevacs that are going to move out and to join everything else. As we look around, everything else is rather typical. Everything is so prettily synced. And then he sees 2 Colossus, and okay, he gets the opportunity to pull back. Now, I'm going to spend a brief period of time talking about this beautiful push-through. This beautiful move is accentuated in success because of these two Marines. Without these two Marines, this is a very risky play. I think most players, especially the mid-Grandmaster types, will either do this move out or not do it. Very few people will do this move out with poaching leading Marines.
Research.
So cool, here they go. If in fact Zest is playing passively, both these Marines are going to live, no matter what. Only if Zest is playing aggressively will the Marine struggle. And then right on back they come. It's so easy. And now we're at this moment. And Flash has, I would say, a pretty straightforward duty to just build a bunch of bunkers because he sees two Colossus. He's going to get Vikings. He's going to be continuing to build Marauders and Marines. Nothing really surprising here. But remember early on I talked about that bold move to place this bunker so far forward. Flash has the opportunity to place his units in a good arc. He has a lot of space for his units in the area of this box. He also has a lot of space to place bunkers and this and that. Remember that Marine that moved out early? Alright, cool. Just chilling by the third base. So Flash did his best to kind of have the, SCVs repairing the bunker as best they could. Flash is almost able to hold this off. Whoop. Gets the mothership core. Has opportunity to retreat. This all-in from Zest is no doubt a very tricky one to hold off. It's very easy for Flash to just die here. But remember, he gave himself lots of room. Imagine if this battle had happened right here, and everything had just died on Flash's side. That little bit of extra space gives him a little bit of extra retreat room, a little bit of extra room to build a bunker. Like, for instance, right now, this is perfectly good bunker placement. It has an extremely tight focus point of fire right there, so it's a good distance from the ramp. This is a good position. But it's the backup position. I think it's very easy, again, to make this the default place that you place your two bunkers every single game. I especially know that there's maps where people get scared of blink, so they will put a bunker here that's close to home, so that way they have a shorter travel distance for their Marines to like bounce back and forth between these two. But I really like this conquering of as far forward as possible to shut down the vision. Alright. And thanks to this third command center, there's some muling, and yeah, Flash is just gently, slowly stabilizing. Boy, look at that late +1 armor. And I don't mean late as in Flash messed up, I mean late as in it's later than is normal in this matchup. So, okay, cool. Now here's some super freaking smart things that Flash is going to do. No, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that yet. Okay, here's what I want to talk about. I want to establish this game as a baseline for when we look at games 2 and 3. So what I want to do is I want to blast through that first 12-minute period to cement in our minds what it was that Flash did, so we will remember it very well. And then we will talk about the adaptation part. Again, we're going to see persistence, the perseverance to do the same build again and again and again and again and again and again, and to find all these little nuanced tricks is great. And we're also going to get the chance to see how Flash adapts without going crazy. I don't want to touch on the adaptation yet. So again, let's just cement this as a baseline. So there, on 14, a command center doesn't build anything, instantly gets a barracks at 14, and we see what someone might glance at and call standard. Sure, it's going to be 2 barracks, it's going to be a bunker, it's going to be the usual stuffs, but it's these little things, the bunker instantly after the barracks is finished. The 2 barracks sinking up so that way the Marines get started almost the exact same time, so the production is synced up. When the SCV dies, immediately sending out another one to do scouting. The rally points into the main base to reduce the percentages of losing to oracles, and these are not placed in the mineral line. They're placed in the middle, so there's an opportunity to go this way or that way. After he has 6 in the main, which is enough to take out an oracle, we have these marines over here by the bunker getting ready to load on in, kind of spreading himself in an intelligent fashion. We have this SCV that right close to the 7-minute mark gets a critical scout. It actually heads in at 6:30. And it spots, wow, indeed, there's 2 assimilators down. Pretty damn early. Wowzas. If they're done and they've mined some before 7 minutes, that's the definition of early, man. Oops, I gotta stay on the flash cam. Okay, cool. We see these just elegant syncings of production. Look, even waiting, so they all get synced up. Nothing surprising about factory and engineering bay at the same time. Nothing surprising about stim and reactor. But we see these beautiful little things like these finish at the same time, so the marauders start at the same time. Oh yeah. We see this force move out before the medevacs, so that way this force will be at the front base of Zest just a few seconds earlier. The Marines poach out early on just to make sure this bunker moved forward, just to get a little bit of extra space. The preparation, look at this, the move out and the few Marines that moved with it is what bought the time to get these bunkers down. Oh, awesome. So we've established a really nice baseline build. We've looked at some of the elegances of it and talked about up to this point. Now, here's something I want to stress. We're going to talk about adaptability now. And again, the important thing I want to stress about adaptability, about changing your build, is that you rarely want to do a change. You want to do an adjustment. If you've watched other dailies, you've heard me use this word adjust a lot, and I take the word adjust very seriously. I don't throw around adjust casually like some people. I'm not just calling everything an adjustment. I'm not loose with the word adjust. Very particular with it, okay? For instance, building completely different units would be a change. Making different production structures at a different time would be like a change. Having the same units that you're building every game, but moving them to different places, now we're talking about an adjustment. Knowing what it is that you want to do and doing it in a different order. It's an adjustment. Something like, do I want to get barracks 4 and 5 and a command center, or do I want to get command center and then barracks 4 and 5? Those would be little adjustments. There's certainly your builds that involved you getting barracks 4 or 5 and going all in with it and never getting the extra command center. Okay, now we're talking about change, but adjustment is the word I want to bash into your face in the sweetest way possible. So we're going to see here a little adjustment where Flash, no doubt, was probably going to be getting more medevacs out of this. Just going to be getting Vikings, which he would want against Colossus anyways. Going to get Vikings now and back up and get more medevacs later. Well, just continue to build Vikings. No doubt a tense moment. An equally tense moment for Zest. So, okay. So Flash is now finally getting this. Oh, great. He's going to go right back to normal. He has these orbital commands just pumping out SCVs to the front. Now here's an example of an adjustment. If you see someone have rushed for Colossus, you know what he's probably really bad at? Anti-drop. Colossus in general struggle against drops, which is why we see Blink happen so often. Sort of as an add-on to it. But yeah, Flash is just going to move into the main base. Obviously, don't lose your medevacs. That's bad. But this is just a generally good move to do against a Colossus-focused player. This move out, these little drop moves, allow you to easily and safely secure an extra expansion. Look at these little adjustments. Flash just sending some dudes around. Notice that it's a Marauder and a Marine. This combo can kill off pylons very easily and shut down warp-ins very easily because the concussive shell allows this army to get away. Think about that for a moment. Rather than just send a Marine, you send a Marine and a Marauder so the concussive shell can help you get away. This is a way to conserve units. A little adjustment. Not one Marine, a Marine and a Marauder. Ooh. Ooh. And you might argue, well, dude, you don't want to send too much firepower out. And I would say, well, yeah, that's what these drops are for. You know you don't need that much firepower. You're just going to be distracting. Little forces with Marauder moving out. Great.
Mineral field depleted.
There's usual things. By the way, you see that? Look at that. The Marine and the Marauder spotted the probe, shot once, boom. Concussive shell means the probe can't get away. Awesome. Flash doing other very basic stuff. Oh, saw Colossus. Gonna get a second starport. So, what I've talked about extensively up to this point is little adjustments that are being made. We've talked about persistence. And here's the thing that I want to drop on you. Here's the big strategic uniqueness that we see out of Flash in all 5 games. It's right around now, between 11 and 15 minutes. Flash is just not getting that many upgrades. I want you to just be aware of this all daily long. Flash is just not getting that armory and the second engineering bay that much, like, at all. He's just not doing it. Most players right now begin to go into super defensive Terran Man. They get their add-on, they get there to engineering bays and all that sort of stuff. Flash is just not really doing that. All that extra gas lets Flash do things like get extra Vikings. And look at this. Flash is even getting additional refineries. He's actually gotten a lot of gas in these games. Many Terran players will stick on 3 gases for quite some time and get a 4th later, and then they'll stick on 5 gases for a while and get a 6th later. Flash is just getting 6 gas really fast. And man, look at this. There's not even an armory in sight. Now, often we would say, oh yeah, Flash is probably going to be all in. But he continues to just round out his tech. He gets double starport and ghosts faster than most Terran players. Most Terran players are getting their 2-2. They're adding on more barracks to increase that production. And we will see that in a different game. But here Flash is basically saying, you know what, there's no way you're ever going to have a huge army because your 3rd was so late. And Flash is just jamming up the pressure. Look at this move. Look at this move. Moving forward with the entire army so he can stim 1 Marine and send it up. There's a final thing that I want to note before this game's done. If you have a lead, here are the 3 things I want you to do if you have a lead. Don't stop macroing, don't stop upgrading, don't stop scouting. Macro, upgrade, scout. Do all those things. The only way you're going to lose is if you fall behind in some key upgrade, or you forget to build dudes, or he sneaks some hidden expansion. We're going to see Flash clean up. He does not have the biggest bio army. 14 Marauders, 22 Marines, but amazingly has a whole boatload of Ghosts and Vikings, and is breaking small portions off. He actually sent 2 medevacs, but when he saw the attack, he pulled 1 back. Yada, 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 yada. And with that many Vikings, all the Colossus are gonna die. With that many Ghosts, all the Templar are gonna get storms off. And even though this is somewhat of a close final fight, kind of, sort of, I don't really think it is, because Zest has lost all his power units. And without the power units there, they're really hard to replenish. Okay, and then we're done. I kind of zoomed past the end there. Just so that way we can finish and we can get to part 2 where we can watch more games. But here's the big takeaways. First and most important thing I want you to remember from part 1 is what that core build was. Remember that core build. it's extremely easy in a tournament setting, or hell, even if you're on the ladder, to want to do different builds, to want to change it up and do crazy stuff, and to be an everyman, right? To vary it all. But you can do the same damn really good thing many, many games in a row. And that's what we're going to see Flash do. So remember that core. The other thing I want to emphasize, strategically, we're going to see Flash just not really get upgrades. In this game, if you look, there's only one engineering bay, and there's no armory. There is literally no +2/+2 even possible for Flash to upgrade. I want you to remember that. And the third thing, remember that when we do this adaptability thing, as we're going to see in the future, it's not about change, it's about adjustment. So stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to watch more Flash, and in part 2, this is where we're going to see the really, really juicy stuff. So stay tuned, hell yeah.